Hey, 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 what do you say? It's the Evans. Let's unwind with the Evans. And I am your co host, Tommy Evans. And this is my beautiful, lovely, my fine boo thing, Lady J. Jessica Evans. How you doing, baby?
Oh, doing wonderful, doing wonderful. Hey guys, we missed
Yeah, for
y'all.
real, for real.
We definitely missed you all. We were not airing last week, so we're back on the air this week, right before Valentine's Day. So we are going to allow you all to go ahead and build, share, tag who you need, to be on here to watch with you. Let's make
Yeah.
it a really interactive place tonight.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. We want you guys to make sure you reach out to your family and friends, get your hot beverage or cool beverage, whatever it is, sit down and let's have a discussion. Let's have a group family discussion about love and all that kind of good stuff. We've got a great topic for you today, and it's titled, Am I Doing Too Much or Am I Not Doing Enough?
Yeah. So, again, that topic, oh my gosh, you can go so many different angles with
Oh, yeah,
that,
for
different
real.
directions. So,
For real, for real. So get your crew, get your crew.
yes.
You know, if you're on Facebook land, tag and share your people.
Yeah.
If you're on YouTube, hey, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Tell your other people to subscribe, which is Let's
Yes.
Unwind with the Evans 1232. Let's build that up. Let's
Yes.
get this thing rocking and rolling. We want to talk to y'all tonight. We want y'all to talk to us. We've missed you guys so much. We missed 1 week and it's like we missed a whole month or something. It's crazy.
It is. It really is. Yeah. Um, so again, this was actually going to be the topic from last week. So we're
Hmm.
doing it this week. So we're a little behind, but that's all right. Um, we might have to do two.
Uh-oh. You got that much information?
Yeah, we might have to do something over
She,
the weekend for you all.
she be
So
killing the game, y'all. I'm telling you. My wife is no
we
joke. She be
might
killing it.
have to do that.
She be killing it, y'all. Definitely. But don't she look beautiful, y'all? I've been telling her
Oh,
that all
thank
day today.
you.
And she walked past me and I just be like shaking my head. But she don't even be realizing. I'll be like,
Yeah, that's what he said. I was like, well, yeah, I mean, he says it all the time.
I,
Yeah.
I say it. I told her yesterday, I caught her. That I said something to her and she's like, I'm like, why you rolling your eyes? You can't take a compliment when I be complimenting you. And she's like,
Look, I
did
be
I roll
wanting
my
more action.
th- see that?
But no, you all, please, please, please go ahead and tag and share, tag and share. Let's go ahead and dive into tonight's topic while we are waiting for others to continue to join us tonight.
Come on and bring it, baby. What you got? Are you doing too much or are you not doing enough? What's going on?
Well, in marriage, if I could take a true self-reflection of myself, there are areas in marriage where you can always improve, right?
Okay.
And so for me, I'm all about preventative maintenance. I'm all about being aware of what I'm contributing, what I'm
Hmm.
not contributing.
Right.
So for me, yeah, there's areas where I feel like, okay, I'm doing a lot. There's areas where I'm like, okay, I need to step it up in this area. Um, and really it's not getting complacent, it's not getting comfortable. In marriage you can oftentimes just get comfortable, you could end
Right.
up taking your spouse for granted, you could just be like, okay, well, I know how to function, I know how to manage in my marriage, so
Hmm.
it's like, okay, well, it's not that big of a deal, or if it's not broke, don't fix it. But it kind of goes to what my husband was saying about the communication piece and just making sure that you have that open communication forum with your spouse. So,
Yeah.
it's funny that my husband asked me, what do I feel? Because it's twofold, right? So I could honestly feel like, okay, there's areas where I need to improve in. And then for him, it's like, babe, you do well in that area. Why do you feel like you need to improve? So, as we mentioned before, there's not a perfect person walking this earth. So of course
Right.
there's other things that you may feel like you need to improve on, but it really depends on how your spouse may feel.
Correct.
Your spouse may feel like, okay, you're doing great in this area, or babe, the area you think you're doing well in, yeah, I need you to kind of pick it up. I want more of this. I need more of that.
Right.
And it's really about not taking it personal, but hearing the heart behind the matter. Oftentimes, when we do our counseling, when we do our coaching, we share with our clients that it's important to understand not just focus so much on the words.
Mhm.
Yes, words, delivery, all of the tone, all of that has its place. But understanding if someone is communicating their heart with you, whether it's their thoughts that they're having, whether it may be fears, insecurity, whatever the case may be. But if they're presenting something to you that may be bothering them or something where they feel like, okay, well, if we did more of this, it can improve the nature of our marriage, it can improve the nature of our relationship, then you want to be able to really unpack that and begin to make those necessary changes for your spouse.
Right. I think
So,
the key that you mentioned earlier is true.
mhm,
Uh, Communication is everything in that
mhm,
because in some cases, like she said, you may think you're doing a lot.
mhm,
And in some cases, you may feel like you're not doing a lot, but really the only way you can get a good determining factor behind that, if you are or if you're not doing enough, is when the other person is communicating to you from their perspective what's really happening, what's really going on. Because the reality is, the way we're wired, we always, even if we know we're not perfect, but we always think we're doing over and
mhm,
above. I've been a manager in jobs, and you talk to people, and they're shocked when you tell them they're not doing certain things. Oh, I thought but again, this is about really having true self reflection
mhm,
and being honest about what it is. And a lot of times, and as she mentioned, when we're counseling people, a lot of times what people are not willing to do is do real, true reflection.
mhm,
It's always blinded. It's always kind of, but it's really about taking that wait. Am I really being gentle? Am I really being kind? Am I really looking out for the best being of it? It's a lot that's there. And so the question is, are you doing too much or not enough? You can really only know that when the other person truly tells you and communicates. Now, and here's another piece behind that. Are you in a space where they're safe enough to be able to share with you? Because sometimes if a person shares with you that you're not doing something or that you're feeling a certain way,
mhm.
all kinds of feelings and things happen, and it takes a whole nother direction
Yeah.
than what it was meant to take. So you have to even be careful there and make sure that your relationship is set up
Mhm.
where you can share.
Absolutely. And I also feel that you have to be straightforward, right? You have to be direct. No one is a mind reader. So it
Yeah.
kind of goes to my husband's point that he was making, but you really have to be able to not just communicate. People can communicate all day long, but what's the depth of that communication? Don't just say, okay, well, I want this or I need
Right.
this. And I do that, but it's not how you pictured it. It's
Right.
not how you envisioned it. So, really paint the picture. Paint the picture of what you need. Paint the picture of what you think you deserve and bring that to the table. Let's have a meeting of the minds, if you will. Let's
Yes.
have a conversation. But I also think, even, outside of marriage, and I know for our married couples who are watching this, it's one of those things, again, as I mentioned before, if you're just now tuning in, we thank you for being here. But it's one of those situations where I mentioned you can get comfortable, you can get complacent,
Almost definitely.
and you could just be like, okay, well, I'm doing XYZ, I'm providing this, I'm providing that. I get you need that, but that's not really important. And so we get into this projection of
Ooh.
feeling like what your spouse is bringing to the table is not relevant, it's not important, it's being nitpicky, all of those different things that come with marriage. And my thing is, why do we make marriage hard, when it doesn't have to be that way in communication? But that's a whole
Right.
nother topic, y'all.
But your point is really valid, and
Mhm.
here's the question to that, because if the person you're in a relationship with is sharing with you their needs,
Mhm.
and you respond or you say something like, "Well, you really don't need that." The question is, what makes you say, "Are you really hearing?" And my wife mentioned earlier what we tell our couples when we counsel them. hear the heart behind what someone says.
Mhm.
Sometimes you can listen to the words and miss out on really the heart behind it.
Yes.
There's a meaning inside of it, and sometimes if you just hear the heart behind it, but when a person is telling you, "I need something," and you come back and say, "Well, you don't need that." Okay, what? Okay, here's why I'm asking the question. Are you saying that because that's not what you need?
Mhm.
Which means that you're not looking at this thing full circle.
360.
You got the other person is telling you their desires, telling you their need. It has nothing to do with you at this point. My wife and I talk a lot about when there's discussion. You have the stage, or I have the stage. If I have the stage, you sit in the audience and listen to the dialogue.
Mhm.
So if a person is saying this is what I need, and you say you don't need that, you you
That's
really
dismissive.
you
That's
you really haven't
dismissive,
heard
and
what I
that's
said at all.
rejection.
Yes, you haven't heard anything I said at all.
Yep.
You don't even care. It's
Mhm.
all about you at this moment. So you've got to be open and look at it from both perspectives. You may not need that,
Mhm.
but they need that. And we talk all the times
Absolutely.
about love language, and there's certain love languages. My wife and I have completely different love languages.
Mhm.
And she needs, and I've got to be able to help her in the place of where she needs, and I need, and she has to help me in a place that I
Mhm.
need. And it may not be your need, it's
Mhm.
my need. And this is what helps make me function. This is what helps make me
Absolutely.
complete. Like this is what helps her function, and this is
Mhm.
what helps make her complete. So you gotta hear it full circle, not just hear it one way.
Yeah, that's really true because, again, that just means that if you're not able to take yourself out of the equation, or if you look at things as, okay, that's an attack because I do provide this, I do provide that,
Oh
you're
man.
still trying to not even resolve the issue, you're trying to combat what they're bringing to the table. And
Right.
that's when we mentioned that that means that you're not safe enough for them to even share more.
Correct.
So oftentimes, even in marriage, you get to the place of, okay, well, I'm just going to sit back. I'm going to end up suppressing, or, my marriage has been this way for a long time
Right.
and they don't hear me anyway. So all I'm going to do at the end of the day is get frustrated. It's going to bother me more than it bothers them.
Yep.
Right. So
Yep.
we want to be able to uncover, okay, am I doing too much or not enough? And I will say, from a marriage perspective, there's no there's no way you can communicate too much, right?
Mhm.
I subscribe to over communicating because, again, there's so many
She
different
does.
aspects.
She
There's
does.
so many different aspects, right?
Mhm.
So, you're bringing all of this to the table, and your spouse is trying to articulate based off of their own experience, based off of their own intellect. And it's like, okay, intellect has little to do with what I'm sharing with you because it's based off of my own feelings, my
Right.
emotions, my experience or lack thereof, all of those different things that go into it. So it's important to really be able to communicate that in an effective way. But let's get to the place of, maybe you feel like you're not doing enough. So you asked me the question, and I apologize if there's a little static. I hear static. But you asked me the question, babe,
Mhm.
how do I feel? Do I feel like I'm doing too much or not enough?
Right.
And thank you for those who are just tuning in. So I'm going to present the question back to you. What do you think?
What, that you're doing too
Yeah,
much, or
because,
what you
again, this is a test, right? So
put
this
me
is
on the
this
spot?
is a demonstration,
Put
right?
me on the spot. All
This
right.
is a
Well,
demonstration. So notice I asked him, what does he think? So again, I gave my perspective of what I think I'm doing too much in, what I feel like I'm not doing enough, and I need to step up the bar or raise the bar. But again, I'm bringing it to the table of how I
right.
interpret it or how I feel. But
Correct.
again, it's up to the receiver to really understand and catch what you're giving to them. So for him being the one who's receiving, whether I'm doing a lot in, whether I'm doing, not doing too much in, that's for him to be able to bring to me and ask the wife, you all, even if this was vice versa. And we'll give the demonstration with it being vice versa too.
You
But
already know. Y'all,
I'm
fellas, y'all
I'm
know
on
it's a
the
setup,
I'm
right?
on the hot seat, right? So
Fellas,
I
y'all
put
know it's a
myself
setup.
in the hot seat.
Nah,
So
it's a setup, y'all.
so
I know what this is. I see it from far away. My prophetic antenna went. "Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do."
That's
Okay.
all right, babe. We gonna help the people tonight. We gonna be the first partakers of this
Mm,
situation. Amen.
mm.
So,
Safe place. Safe place.
yeah. Safely.
Y'all see how she's looking at me, right? Hmm. I see it.
So yeah, honey. Do you feel like where do you think I stand in this? And watch this before he answers. I have to be in the mindset of not thinking that this is an attack. My defenses have to come down because if I'm asking that question, it should just be based off of purity. I truly want to know, not
Right.
to debate it, but to change. Amen. And that's the key word. So go
Well,
ahead.
see, that's a great point that you just made because, and first of all, let me say this: because she's asking the question, she's putting it in a situation where it opens that up. But see, what happens is, uh, if she wasn't asking a question, and I just come in and say, "Well, you're not doing this,"
Ooh,
now
that's
that
a
creates a whole
whole
nother.
different
See,
atmosphere.
and so this is why the
Well,
communication
what you
piece.
not
This
doing
so
since you want to get on
it,
my case.
right there, that deflection
You
now,
know how we get
the
late.
back and forth. But no, babe, I tell you all the time, you do an awesome job. I'm gonna tell you what she did though. The way see, she thinks she's slick because my love language is physical touch.
Mm.
So what she did was she began rubbing my shoulder and she was like, "Babe, what do you think?" Because she know I'm gonna say you don't touch me enough, and I'm like, see, she disarmed me. She tried to disarm me from the
That's what you gotta
outset.
do, ladies, when you have this
So now
conversation.
I'm like, okay, the
Check
thing I
in one
would
on
tell you
one.
to do, see, I told you, my antennas went off tremendously. But no, to her point though, I think all of us
Mhm.
really, I don't think we could, and to her point about over communicating, I don't think we could ever over perform for our spouses. I don't think we could ever overperform. And I think what happens is a lot of time we, to her point, will underperform because we
Mhm.
get complacent. We get just so used to the other individual. Oh, she'll be okay. Oh, he'll be okay. And so I think that all of us could use some improvement in being the mate that we need to be for our spouses. Look, I don't care how long you've been together. I don't care
Mhm.
how short you've been together. There's
Mhm.
room for improvement. There's room
Absolutely.
for growth. So for you, babe, you do all you communicate out of this world. Yeah. What am I doing too much? You do too much communicate. Yeah, that right there.
Okay.
No, let me say
Look, my counselors would say different.
that.
You know, we got married counselors. They be like, Jess, I need you to open up. I need you to spread. I'm just playing. But no,
Never.
that's his
Nah,
his thought.
that
That's
was
his
a joke. That was
mindset.
a joke. I'm
No,
with
I
the
communicate too
communication
much.
part. No, I'm with the communication part.
Oh, okay.
I am. I listen.
So your physical touch, you want to stick to that, even though I'm rubbing you right now and making sure you're
See,
relaxed and
she trying to get
the
me up.
ball
That okie doke. See,
head.
that's that okie doke, man. Women, man. I'm telling you, we can't win with them, can't lose with them. I tell you, love them. But you got to see, you got to know the tactics, fellas. You've got to know the tactics. But
We're playing
but
with y'all.
but no, you're awesome, like babe.
Oh,
You know
thank
that.
you.
Awesome. That's why
So,
when you be walking away, I'd be like, alrighty. Mm,
yeah.
that's my baby right there.
Oh. So, you asked, is there something from a reflection perspective? Because I answered in the very beginning of the podcast, what areas I may feel like I need to improve in, what areas I feel like I may be doing too much in. So for you, do you have that aspect, whether you feel like you're doing too much or not enough in our marriage?
Oh,
How are you
most
able to
definitely.
determine
Most
which?
definitely. Most
Okay.
definitely. Because as you know, uh I love acts of service, meaning I love to give acts of service. So
Mhm.
there are times that I feel like I might be doing too much, and that's only because we had a conversation once. It was actually a heated debate that we were having,
Mhm.
and I was kind of throwing out, I do this and I do this and I do that, and she was like, I don't care about all that. I don't want that. And I was like, dang. So now I have to try to balance out. Am I doing too much because she don't really care about that anyway? That's not what her love language. It's like that's not, and that breaks a really good point that I want you guys to hear because in my mind, I was meeting her at a certain point of need, but it wasn't what she needed.
Mhm.
And so when I went in that direction, that's when she was able to say, "But that's not even
Can you ask me? Can we have a
the,
conversation?
that
Because now
part."
you're projecting what you think the needs are.
Exactly. And that's where
Mhm. That happens in
this is a good
marriage.
teaching point, guys. This is why I tell men in particular, you might have dated people or things of that nature. And I know Valentine's Day is coming up. Don't just get flowers and chocolate because that's the thing to do. Make sure that your woman want flowers. I know some women who say, "Don't get me flowers. I'm not dead." Then you have other women who say things like, "Get me flowers, don't give me flowers when I'm dead. Get me flowers now." My wife doesn't necessarily like chocolate.
Mhm.
So me going to get a box of chocolate is not going to work just because that's what they're advertising for the day. Find out what the person needs. And that's why it's about, are you doing too much? Because you could be doing too much of the wrong thing
Yep.
and not even realize or not realize if they're not communicating to you, but you could be doing too much of the wrong thing. What is it that he or she needs? And make
Mhm.
sure you're doing that. So for me, I was doing so much of the wrong thing that I
Right.
had to realize, okay, wait, I got to reel this back and make sure I'm doing the thing, making sure
Mhm.
I'm doing what she's desiring in order to meet her at the point of her need, not just doing what I think she needs, not just
Mhm.
doing what I've
What
always
you've
done.
done. Yeah.
It's got to be about what she desires, what she needs. So for even if you're dating somebody, make sure you know the need.
Mhm.
They're just wants, but what is the need?
Mhm.
The needs is what's vital. Because if you
Mhm.
can meet the need, oh man, that person's going to be satisfied. That person's going to be fulfilled because their needs are being met, and you're doing that. So yes, for me, there's times that I feel like, well, I might be doing a little too much. I might want to
Mhm.
just pull that back a little bit. So
Okay.
that's from a acts of service perspective.
So I will say when it comes down to me being on the receiving end, there are times where I feel like, okay, well, my husband may be doing too much in, let's say, well, acts of service. That was a great point assessment. There are certain times where my husband, and I'll say it all day, he really taught me the beauty of just really being a lady, being cared for, being catered to. Um, yeah, he got the catering thing on listen. So, I think he spoiled me more. I don't know.
I
I
think I
have I
did.
have to ask my mother when I talk to her
She was
and
spoiled
see,
already, and I
because
think I
I
went
didn't think I could
overboard.
get even more spoiled, but,
I did.
I don't
I
know.
did.
We'll see.
I did.
But,
I mean, and no, I mean, and I'm not saying this,
it's not a
because
bad thing.
because of y'all and that,
Mhm.
but truly, I love my wife. I'll do anything for her, and if she doesn't have to, I don't want her to have to lift a finger. I
But
really
I'm
don't.
so independent. Where
And
my
that
independent ladies
and
at?
listen, no, and no, it's
That's the
funny.
wrestle. It's not the appreciation. It's just like, "Babe, just
No,
relax. I got 2 feet. I got 2
no,
hands. I can
that's
do it."
funny that she says that because what happens is that is something it's always been a tug of war. To this day, it's a
Mhm.
tug of war for us. And I mean, for instance, I had really my mother taught me, you open a door for a lady. You just I mean, mom had taught
Love
me
that.
well. So
Thanks,
that's something I
mom.
started with my wife. And but again, at first though, because she was so independent, and then unfortunately some of the guys that she was dating
Mhm.
wasn't really into that. And so for me, I'm like pop her hand, like, what are you doing?
They weren't taught that, and that's, again, why we have Let's Unwind, because we're trying to help even the singles in that aspect.
Right, right. So it's gotten to a place where I can finally say, now my wife, and not only that, watch this, my 8-year-old daughter has now finally gotten to the point where she will go to the door and she'll just stand there because she knows either myself or my son are going to open the door for her. And
Yeah.
my wife won't touch the door now because she knows that's one of the ways that I want to serve her. Let
Mhm.
me serve you.
Serve
You're a
you.
queen. Let
Yes.
me, treat you like a queen.
And
And
not
that
only that,
independence died on her. Ah,
what I had to really, and I don't know if it was maybe our marriage counselors who had me to, I don't think it was them. It might have been something I read or something that I saw on another podcast, but the ability to have my husband open the doors for me, whether it's, going into a restaurant, whether it's going inside the car, that's a protection, right? Because he's the last person. I'm safe where I need to be or where we're going, but
Mhm.
he's the last person. So if
Right,
there's any danger outside, whatever the case may be, he's being that shield for his family.
right.
So I have to look at it that way as well.
I mean, it
So,
helps.
yeah, I think that's really important. So when it comes down to, we have a lot of singles who watch our podcast, Let's
Mhm.
Unwind with the Evans. And so I know that there's a few singles watching right now. We see you guys. Um,
We see all of y'all, by the way. We see
yeah, we
all of
see
y'all.
all of y'all.
Look, we have different
That's why I'm
platforms.
waving.
Yeah, we have different platforms that we're on. So we may not call anybody's name, but it doesn't mean we
Mhm.
don't see you. So don't take it
Absolutely.
personal or anything like that.
Yeah,
Oh,
because
they didn't see.
I
Nah,
had
we
some
got y'all.
messages.
We
Yeah,
got y'all.
we
Trust me,
got
we
y'all.
got y'all.
But no, when it comes down to the singles, one of the things that I do want to share, again, having been single before, this is my first marriage. So,
Last marriage.
baby, you say that every podcast. What
Prophetic,
is going
prophetic,
on?
prophetic, because prophetically, when you say first,
No,
it could be the second.
no, what I'm
So,
saying,
of course,
yours
we're gonna
is
get married
second,
again.
right? No, yours is second. So we oftentimes share our experience. We're just having a dialogue, y'all. Y'all are in the Evans household.
Look, that's
So
me. That's me helping her through the door, being the last man in the protective side. Like, hold up, now look,
yes,
this is one stop shop. This is it.
yes, okay. So what I was saying, ladies and gentlemen, was when it comes down to the singleness perspective, there's a lot of people out there who feel like, okay, for a guy, they're supposed to do this. I want the guy, if he's asking me out on a date, he should be paying for it. I
Hmm.
shouldn't have to come out of pocket.
Uh-huh.
There's got women who subscribe to, like what my husband was mentioning, opening the doors, the chivalry perspective of it. There
Hmm.
are some women who never had it, never saw it. So for them, it's not a deal breaker one way or the other, right? That's something that you have to be taught. And
Right.
so I would constantly hear it, from my dad growing up that, he wouldn't respect anybody I really dated because that would be the first indicator. He was like, nah, they ain't the one. Can you get to meet this person? No, they ain't the one because they didn't open the door. So it's one of those, situations. Daddies know he got a daughter. He know he gonna do the same thing. So when it comes down to the singles and all of that type of stuff, you have to get into the mindset of not feeling like you're weak. And there's this stigma out here when it comes to weakness.
Preach, girl.
No one wants to appear weak. No one
Uh,
wants to put their vulnerabilities out there. No one wants to be
man.
really transparent into what they're doing, what they're not doing. And I really subscribe to the fact that if you are dating and you're exclusively dating, we're not just saying dating and you have multiple partners that you're
Right.
dating and you're having fun going out, but no, I'm saying if you're exclusively dating someone, then it's important for you to understand that this is time invested. Even if you're
Yes.
dating multiple people, that's still invested. So no one, we got Valentine's Day coming up. No one should feel like, oh, I don't know about the other person, or now there's this competition out there. So
Right.
now I'm not going to really give to you what I would give to you because I know about XYZ. I know I'm not the only dude you're talking to, or I know I'm not the only female you're talking to.
Right.
So no, I'm not going to spend money on you. No, I'm not going to do this. No, I'm not going to do that because obviously you don't see me worthy to cut everyone off, right? And so it's this stigma of not wanting to be hurt for
Hmm.
one. So
Right.
there's a protection out there, protective mechanism
That's good.
based off of your decisions and what you will do and what you won't do.
Right.
But then also it's just the stigma of weakness. And I don't really, I feel like I know where it comes from because, in our generation, it was more so you got dogged for being sweet, being a gentleman, chivalry, all of those
That's
different
every
things.
generation.
Okay, well, every generation,
Yeah.
but you got dogged for things like that. So
Yeah.
it's like the more women I have, I'm a player, I'm this, I'm that. And that's what really give you the applause. That would give you the validation that you
Right.
need. So you were never taught, oh, being with one woman, that's a strength. That's a strength in itself. Not
Mhm.
entertaining other women out here, that's a strength. Everybody else is doing that. How can I separate myself
That
from that
part.
part?
Come on.
So, what do you think, contributes to the mindset of, okay, well, let me fall back? There's this fall back perspective in my generation, I would say, where they feel like, okay, well, I'm falling back because maybe I'm not seeing the consistency, maybe I'm not seeing the value, maybe I'm not seeing the priority change. And so there's reasons why people fall back, but what do you think is truly an indicator of that? And how do we get beyond your mindset? Because it does come from a perspective of fear,
Mhm.
right? When you feel like you're doing too much, it's like, okay, well, I don't want to crowd that person. I don't want to be clingy. I don't want to push
Right.
them off, push them
Right.
away, because
Right.
if they are not used to what you give, that's not saying that what you're giving is bad. It's
Right.
just saying that, okay, they're not used to it. So a person who's not used to it, they're going to reject it before they embrace it. So
Yeah.
you have to kind of go with that mindset of what you're giving out. Okay, there is a side of it to where I could be dating this young lady and she
Mhm.
could receive it. But then
Right.
there's also the other aspect of it where, okay, I have to kind of teach her, this is who I am. This isn't game. I'm not trying to game you. I'm not trying to have you take advantage of me at the same time, because there
Listen,
are
yo.
women who will be like, oh, I want this guy for gas. I got a nail person he's sending me money for nails. Oh, I got
Listen.
somebody who's going to give me some lunch, take me out to dinner. Like, women.
Listen.
I'm speaking to the ladies because all I
Listen.
mean, that's all I can
My
do.
wife from
Mhm.
day one swore I was trying to game her. To this day. And I think that's why she rolls her eyes to this day when I say something to her. She and I'm like, baby, it's not game. You're my wife, for heaven's sake. It's not game. But
Noted.
but to that weakness part, I think it's really interesting that it's almost like tables have turned because,
Mhm.
as you mentioned, with the generation today, they look at chivalry as being a weak perspective, but for that and it's sad to say, but this women's rights thing has kind of messed things up a little because now they've made women so independent that it makes them feel like they're weak if a man wants to do something for them. It
Mhm.
makes them feel, and it's like you're not weak. And to your point, that's a sign of strength to be able to submit yourself
That's
to
it.
let somebody serve you or to
Yep.
let somebody do something for you. That's a sign of strength. There's no weakness in that.
Absolutely.
But there's this mindset, and today's society has made it so bad that, so now guys really don't even know how to, or if they should pull a chair out for a woman, open a door, or do these things like
Mhm.
because she already. So now we got women walking around. I call it a Tupac thing. They walk around like Tupac. They all hardcore, and it's like, can you just be a lady?
But at the same time, and this is where I have to play devil's advocate, right? So if you know that's what you do, you open doors, you have that gentleman likeness to yourself, then have that conversation. When you're getting to know a person,
Right,
you are supposed to talk about your past relationships. You are supposed to talk about things that you've experienced, your upbringing, and all of that. So you could easily ask the person in conversation that you're dating, okay, so, how do you feel about this? It's funny because, being in and out of relationships, I used to give so many
Tupac.
hypotheticals. I
I
gave so
know.
many hypotheticals that's what, allowed me to feel comfortable with being in a relationship. But my whole thing was, okay, I want to know what would happen if this happened. I want to know what your mindset is. How would you react to this? How do you
Right,
process something like that? I'm more of that problem solver because I want to know,
right,
okay, do you fold under pressure? What do you do? What's your habits? What are your habits
right.
like? And so I think a lot of that goes into that, but it's not, let's get out of the projection that, okay, well, I don't want to do too much because I don't want to push her away. If you're pushing her away, that means that, one, you didn't have a conversation, because what you w- if you're doing too much in a
Mhm.
category, that means you didn't have and she's rejecting it, that means you didn't have the necessary conversation to understand what she needs.
Goes back to what I said earlier.
Yeah.
You're doing too much of something but you're not doing too much of what she's asking you to do.
Right,
Yeah,
and so it's
you're
not a
doing it wrong.
balance.
You're
It's
doing
not
it
a
wrong.
balance,
Right.
right.
Right. But I was going to say now, if you're doing too much and they reject you,
Mhm.
there's another part of that. Maybe they just weren't the one for you.
Right, there's that too.
Because
Mhm.
let's be honest, guys. There's a lot. As I mentioned earlier about some of the things that I do for my wife, whatever. It's just
Yeah,
the
he called me Tupac. Go ahead.
I look. I said Tupac. I didn't. I used to tell her that. Stop being like
Shakur.
Tupac. Stop being like Tupac. I mean, because again, I'm like, it's just, it's as much as I know she likes me, complimenting her or whatever. It's like if you're feeling goofy and you got butterflies, say it. Stop being so hardcore. It's okay. I'm your man. But she fight with it herself, and I can see it. Like, stop. You're being like Tupac. Come on now. And she would laugh. I heard Tupac. I get it. But and
Mhm.
again, I'm saying it's this where we are today has really made a lot of women this way. And they look at such certain aspects as
Mhm.
being weak
Mhm.
instead of really being able to say, wait a minute, this is my strength. I am a queen and I deserve to be adored. I am a
Mhm.
queen and I deserve to be cherished. I am a queen, and it's just, and for us men, we get a kick out of being able to do for you. We get a kick out of being able to treat you like a queen.
Mhm.
But when we get that resistance, it's like, well, wait, what is going on here? But we want, and it's how we show our, like she mentioned, with us, opening the door and with a last mode of protection. That feels good for us. And we
Mhm.
get pride out of that. And I tell people all the time, this is my human baby doll. That's what I call it, my human baby doll. So I'm like, as my human baby doll, it's my job to make sure that,
Mhm.
hey, I show you off. I don't listen. Let me. This is gonna sound crazy. Folk can be mad at me. I know I'm a fine dude. Always, I've been fine all my life. Got a shirt made. They say, what my shirt say, baby?
Fine, don't change.
Got two shirts. Fine, don't change. Been that all my. That's not an arrogant perspective. I just know that. But I also know this here is bad. This here makes me look bad, look better than I am. I love it. So why would I not want to show it off? Why would I not want to present it?
No.
Why would I not want to treat her, like royalty? If it's just all of that. And so to have her fight that, like, what is what is this? You know, what is this?
Mhm.
Well, no, don't fight that.
And
Because
that is a reflection.
yeah,
Yeah.
somebody put on there, if you see a nice lady, it's like, yo, they swear they're doing it right. I mean, but the
Yes.
reality is, but listen, watch this. Now, this is kind of a traditional perspective, but watch this, guy. The reality is, when a person goes into anyone's home, the first thing a person thinks is either she keeps a nasty house or she is a very clean person. The
Mhm.
house is reflected based off of the woman.
Always.
And so it is with men.
And you can tell if a woman's not present.
And so it is with a man. When you see that woman, there's the reflection that either that man is taking care of her or he's not doing a good job. And
Mhm.
so, if that's the case, why would you fight what we're trying to do, what we're trying to represent?
Mhm.
And that's why
That's a great
it's like,
point.
no, allow us to do what we do because it is a
Mhm.
reflection of the head, just
Mhm.
as of the house is a reflection of the woman. And so
Yeah.
we've got to recognize. So if you're doing too much, it's the topic is, am I doing too much or not enough? We said it earlier. You can only determine that when when they communicate to you what's happening. If you're
Mhm.
doing a lot and you feel like you're doing a lot, and your lady or your man is still not satisfied, there needs to be a conversation had, and you need to be
Yes.
honest about, hey, look, I feel like I'm doing so much, but I'm feeling underappreciated.
Yes.
I'm feeling like you're really not, or maybe I'm wrong. Am I doing too much? Am I not doing enough? What helped me with this?
Mhm.
There's nothing wrong with having that dialogue and conversation so that you can truly make sure that you're meeting the needs of the person that you're with. And too many times, I mentioned it earlier, I was doing stuff that, and again, I'm a man's type of man. I mean,
Mhm.
I wake up with a screwdriver and a hammer in my hand. I mean, I really do. It's like, okay, let me find something to bang on. Let me
No
find
lies
something to.
detected.
I mean, she's not gonna reject. She knows that's me. She was joking the other day because she saw something and some guy was in the yard and she was like, "Oh my god, babe, that's so you." And I'm like,
If we had pulled up and like, "Oh man, what you working on? Let me go." Babe, we here for this. You know,
listen,
like he
I'm just that type of guy.
one way.
So I was doing a lot of this stuff and fixing stuff and putting stuff together and doing things. And in my mind, I'm doing this for her.
Mhm.
And she's like, "Hey, I don't want that. That ain't me. I need you
Mhm.
to spend time with me. I need you to talk to me. If you ain't talking to me, that ain't all right, girl. I gotta fix this. I gotta
Yes.
do this. I'm doing this for you." So I was doing a lot of the wrong
Can we
thing.
share the example of when we were dating before we got married? One of the things that we struggled with was communication,
Oh yeah.
right? We
Oh
had
yeah.
communication barriers. I mean, we've grown. We've grown. Haven't arrived, but we grown,
Oh
okay?
yeah. Most
It's a
definitely.
progress progress over perfection.
Progress.
So, it was one of those things where my husband, he just enjoyed going, to bed. Bedroom is for sleep or, to get it on, right? So, for him, those were the only 2 options, but for me, it was like, "No, let's pillow talk. Let's talk, let's talk about our desires. Let's do this, get to really know each other from an emotional intimacy." I was trying to grow that aspect, the physical, that's one thing, but emotional intimacy is what I was trying to do. And so it was one night and it stuck with me so heavily. But it was one night where I was trying to have a conversation with him and he literally got mad and rolled over, and so
Went to sleep.
we had this disagreement, and so I'm like, "Okay, whatever." So I'm thinking that, "Okay, we're gonna talk after this disagreement." Then I hear snoring. Mind you guys, this was like a 5-minute time frame, and I'm like, "Well well, dang," and so it kinda just really stuck with me, and to his point, he was just like, "There's other times where we can communicate during the
See,
day," you
that's the
know?
piece that she was missing out
And
on.
so for mhm,
No, because listen, we would spend
mhm.
all day together, and she don't want to talk. She don't want. And when I say talk, I'm talking. She want to have deep conversation. But throughout the day, it was just like, "No, baby, blah 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 blah." Blah." But then the moment we get in the bed,
Mhm.
and mind you, she might be laying on the couch, getting ready to go to sleep. So for me, it's like, okay, it's bedtime. She getting ready to go to sleep. Okay, babe, let's go to bed.
Mhm.
Get in the bed, her energy level through the roof. And I'm like, wait, what's going on here? So I'm in a mindset of winding down to go to sleep. She gets in the bed and she winds up. And so now she wants to wind up in conversation, as she
Mhm.
say, pillow talk and deep. I'm
'Cause
like,
I'm
oh,
not really a TV person, for
and I'm
those who
like,
know
okay,
me.
I'm like, so hold on a second. Wait, this is so we had to really come to an understanding of
Mhm.
mindsets because for her coming up, the bedroom was her place of solace. She would
Mhm.
practically be in her bedroom all day. She would
Mhm.
read, she would write.
Alright. I would listen
Everything
to
was done in
music, I
her
would
bedroom.
dance.
For me, I was not in the bedroom. I'm outside. I played sports. I'm doing stuff.
Mhm.
So the only time I came in the bedroom was to change my clothes, get in the bed. That's that.
Right.
And so there was a dynamic that we had to learn that, okay, we've got to put to something. So she was doing too much of trying to communicate at the wrong time. And I was doing too much of trying to go to sleep at the wrong time, not understanding this is what she was needing.
Mhm.
And so again, the communication factor and really just understanding how this works. Because for me, I'm like, who spent all day long in their bedroom? Don't nobody do that. What? That's to me, that's even today to this day is foreign. And
Mhm.
she'll say something like, "Babe, let's just sit up in the bed." I'm like, I'm not sitting up in no bed all day, baby. That's not gonna happen. We not, nah. And we don't have a TV in our room, so I'm like, are we not? Nah. I'll go in the den. I'm gonna go to the living room. I'll go to the kitchen. I can go outside and do something to the
Look.
fence. I can, but we not. If the only way we're gonna be up in the bed all day is, we rocking and roll. But so we have to really come to a
Mhm.
mesh in that area, and that's a great point that you bring that up because it helps people kind of understand how again, you could be doing something, not realizing that what you're doing. And let me say this: it was a conflict, it's a small conflict
Mhm.
that could have been a big problem if we didn't know how to communicate.
Mhm.
And I'm saying that because for some of you, you're having a small disagreement that's not as big as you think it is. You
Mhm.
just have to learn how to communicate properly and understand what's what. We both had a different mindset about the same thing.
Yes, and I will also kind of go in this direction since we're on this topic, but really as far as how my husband mentioned about it not causing a bigger issue and things of that sort. It really can. So, like how I mentioned, I was impacted by it. So, based off of that scenario we showed you all, it was more so, okay, well, I'm just going to suppress or I'm just going to talk to XYZ. I'm going to talk to my best friend. I'm going to talk to my
Right.
family member. I'm going to talk to this because obviously you're not really wanting to communicate to that. And that wasn't necessarily a strength. We talked about it, previously in previous years on our
Hmm.
podcast, but that wasn't necessarily a strength in his past marriage.
Right.
So he was also bringing in that mindset
Right.
to us dating because this was before marriage, but he was bringing in that mindset of, okay, well, we could communicate about work. That's fine. We
Right.
could communicate about this. That's fine. Like things,
Hmm.
accomplishments, all of those different things
Right.
that we accomplished in that day or that week. But for me, I was looking for something deeper. And since that area wasn't necessarily a strength in past relationships or a past marriage, then it was one of those things like, okay, well, you're doing too much. And it's like, no, this is what's healthy. This is what's needed. Otherwise,
Hmm.
there's going to be a void.
Right.
And for those who have been married, for those who have been in relationships or failed relationships or what have you, we all know how dangerous voids can be.
Correct.
And so you don't want to get to the position of rejecting and just dismissing how your partner feels,
Correct.
right? So all of those different things kind of go into it. But we want to kind of touch on we talked about the doing too much part, but let's talk about not enough, right?
Hmm.
There has to be a certain level of accountability.
Right.
There has to be a certain level of self-reflection that kind of goes into the not doing too much because you
Correct.
have to be honest with yourself. Before your mate brings it to your attention, before your partner brings it to your attention, you know what you're doing and what you're
You
not
should
doing.
already be
You should
on it.
already know. So, oftentimes when there's a defense, it's based off of I don't want to really hear about me. I don't want to deal with the issue. If
Ooh.
we're being honest, or you can't bring this to me because I don't bring the issues I have about you to you, right? So now it's all of
That's a
this.
typical man thought.
That's the typical man thing.
That's a
Okay,
typical
well,
man thought.
you don't please me in every area, and I'm
Yeah.
not coming up here. Okay, but what your tolerance level, understand there's two people in a relationship, right? So what your tolerance level is, if and I would share this with my husband all the time, when it comes down to if there's something that's bothering you, then you should be responsible and own it to the point of, okay, I own this emotion that I feel when she
Right.
doesn't do this. I own that emotion, how I feel when she does do this.
Right.
So let me bring this to her because nothing can change. No behavior can be corrected
Correct.
unless there is a conversation. But oftentimes it's like, oh, okay, that's not a big deal. I'm not going to trip over that shoe in the middle of the middle of the living room or whatever the case may be, because there's bigger issues that I feel like, okay, if those issues arise, then I'll bring it up, but I'm not going to sweat the
Right.
small stuff.
Right.
And so we often share with men that usually, and this is a high percentage because we counsel,
A
we have
good
a lot of
90%,
clients,
95%.
but there are a lot of men who feel a certain type of way when their woman brings a issue to the table.
Right.
And it's based off of that one aspect. I'm not bringing this to you. So why are you bringing this to me? This is small. This is
Right.
minute. This is irrelevant. Like, why are we even having this conversation? And understand for women, right? We're emotional.
Very.
We're definitely emotional
Very.
and we need that intimacy. That's not a want. Intimacy is a need. having that connection with your mate is a need. So if there's a situation that arises that where we feel disconnected, then that's only going to continue to happen in marriage further down the road. So it's important for a woman to bring those things up. Women don't just bring those things up because they want to hear themselves talk. No, they realize that
Mm,
this could be a bigger issue down the road. And I know me.
you know, a lot of our male audience is not going to buy that.
No, I
Why
get
not?
it. But from a woman's perspective,
Right.
I know me. If I'm not getting this, and this goes to men too. Men can easily check out because they're not having enough sex. Let's be real. This is a mature audience. So
Emotional terrorism.
they they could definitely be to the point where, okay, well, she's not giving me none, so I'm going to resort to watching porn, or I'm going to resort to hitting up XYZ, knowing that, okay, maybe I shouldn't be, if if you're secular, I shouldn't be in a strip club if I know that there's a void in my marriage with this.
Right.
Maybe
Right.
I shouldn't be talking to as many women as I talk to if I know that, okay, this part is lacking.
Right.
So
Self control.
it's being, yeah,
Being disciplined.
self-control, but it's also being mindful. So it works both ways.
Right.
And I just think that, for the men who don't subscribe to it, I brought you another example. So it's not just women, it's men as well.
But and here's the thing we mentioned earlier with the men perspective. And I don't know why it is for us guys. It's there's a mindset that um, it's small. It's my well, I won't say that because like she said, women are a little more emotional. For most men, it is a thing of, well, that is just a shoe. We're not we're not made. We're not when we're brought up. Our
Mhm.
mindset is not okay. That's just little. We're not really going to deal with that because our mindset is to deal with problem solve with what we consider to be major issue. And so because of that,
Mhm.
men will allow small issues to become magnified.
Mhm.
But the idea is it's not big enough that I have to fix it now. And that's the
Mhm.
problem. And to my wife's point, we've got to be, as men, more proactive with addressing issues immediately. Now, in saying that, and I know I'm gonna get a lot of folks that gonna be upset with me when I say this, but I saw someone posted something on one of the social medias. I can't remember if it was a emoji, a reel, or something. Oh, no, it was a reel. There was a young man that was talking, and what he said is, women always say that they want men to tell them what they did wrong or how they did something wrong. He said, but they really can't accept it when it happens. And
Mhm.
then he went and they showed some other videos of actual men who were sharing with women certain things, and the women were going off. I
Mhm.
say that to say that women do always say, well, tell me what I'm doing wrong. But a lot of the women don't really want to hear that.
It has to be practice, right? So, in order for, with anything, consistency, being able to embrace. So, I mentioned that a lot of men by far do not really share when something is bothering them,
Right.
right? A woman will address that more than a man will.
Right.
So when it does come out, it's often in retaliation. So no,
That's
a
the
woman
problem.
is not going to receive that. So I won't just buy into somebody posting a reel and talking about that, because I would really have to understand the context of it and what you're talking about and how that man, in what atmosphere, in what setting did he try to present this to his mate.
Right.
And if it wasn't a consistent dialogue, like if their marriage doesn't result in that safe place and
Mhm.
being intimate with one another,
Mhm.
having the necessary check-ins, doing what needs to be done.
Check-ins. We look. We
Mhm.
push check-ins. We tell people all the time to have check-ins.
Because it's easier to be received.
Gotta have them. I mean,
It's
well,
easier to be received as
it's
well.
also to my wife's point, what she said earlier, preventive maintenance. And I didn't really uh you know look at it from that perspective until I got with her actually. But and she said it earlier.
Awesome.
She's a hypothetical queen. I mean, so she would pose all kinds of hypothetical
Sure we
questions, and I would be like, "What in the world?" But
should. I can
Like she
teach
said,
y'all
she
single
wants to
ladies a thing or
know.
two.
But no,
Listen,
look, listen, she
dig
is the
deeper. You're
expert.
gonna have to dig deeper with
She's
me,
the
okay?
expert. And listen,
You're
my
not just
wife is
gonna lock
nah.
me down. I need to know what I'm getting locked down into, amen. So
Yes, that's her. She don't play with that. But no, it's just. But we've got to understand when you're not doing. This is why I said earlier. Do self reflection every day. You should be able to reflect and say, how how have I been as a spouse?
mhm.
Was I kind enough? Was I gentle enough? Was I, I have to. One of the things I've between her and my mother, actually, I've had to learn to work on being gentle. I had no idea that I was aggressive or abrasive, and I might do something like that,
That
and she'd be
that's
like,
one of
"Hey,
that's the one of the things that your mom shared with me before we got married. She was like, "You just bring out such a different aspect of my baby boy because listen, he just hardcore." And then
see,
and then I thought, it would be funny when we're all together, all three of us pray for my husband when my mother-in-law comes. But when we're all in the same in the same house,
oh,
he would do something and we would just make eye contact. And I'd be like, oh, okay, so I'm not just tripping. You saw that too. You heard, it's you
how
know,
y'all got this sign language and y'all didn't tell me nothing about the sign language? Y'all pray for them. See, they secretly. I'm calling her as soon as we get off of here. That's terrible.
she gonna deny.
Yeah,
Look, we got the
no,
same birthday month.
but they, I don't. I'm still trying to figure. But no, he's so aggressive. He's so. I'm like, and watch
Hmm.
this. We have disagreements. She the one yelling and screaming, and I'm like, and I'm supposed to be aggressive and abrasive, and I'm talking quiet and calm, and you. I'm like,
But you
see,
hear that tone,
it,
that
see,
that deep Barry White,
I'm trying
that
to.
thing that
Um,
thing can break. You don't have to yell. Your tone, listen.
look,
But anyways,
this
but
is.
I want to address something in the comments with emotional terrorism.
Uh,
A young lady had posted that. Can
young
you
lady,
can
young.
you go into a
Oh, you
little
want her
bit
to give
more
her more detail?
detail? Yeah, because I know that we're kind
Yeah.
of closing in, but a lot of our audience, they were laughing about the emotional terrorism part. So I'm trying to wrap my mind around what that looks like since you all were having that topic tonight. So please, if you don't mind, share a little bit more context so we can kind of dive in and speak to that.
I love it. Emotional terrorism. I'm like, yeah,
Because I never heard of that. And please don't give my husband something new because it sounds like it's not really for the ladies. It sounds like this was
what in
a
the see
misogynistic
how she rubbing my shoulder, y'all? See, see, she trying to woo me over now.
man.
She trying to woo me over. That's terrible. This is a balanced subject now, for men and women, baby. That's not going one way
Look,
or the
I'm
other.
about context.
Oh my gosh, you are terrible with that. But no, are you doing not enough in your
Mhm.
relationship or are you doing too much? There needs to be proper communication with your spouse so that they can understand what they're providing
Mhm.
versus what they're not. And let me just say this. If if your relationship is not a safe relationship where you can share it, then let me say emphatically, you need to get counseling. You need to get, to talk to someone that can help the both of you have a safe space where these dialogues can be had amongst the two of you because
Mhm.
you have to be able to communicate about any and
Effectively.
everything. We have something we say in our relationship, the good, the bad, and the ugly. That
That's what
we
you signed up for,
that's what you sign up for.
especially in marriage, that's exactly what you
And
sign
guess
up
what?
for.
You're gonna get the good, you're gonna get the best of people. You're gonna get the bad, and sometimes you're gonna get the worst.
Mhm.
That's just
For
what it
better or
is.
for worse.
But you have to know this coming in. And
Mhm.
because of this, you should be able to dialogue, communicate, and effectively grow together because that's the whole purpose of getting married. So you can grow together.
Mhm.
Period. You're growing as one. And for us, it's the good, the bad, and the ugly. I mean, it is what it is. And I tell my
Yes.
wife every day, baby, I love you for your good, I love you for your bad, and I certainly love you for your ugly.
Absolutely. So I'm not sure if she is still on the line to kind of dive
I'll
into
reach
the
out to her.
emotional terrorism, but if not, we will definitely address this and kick it off
Look.
because I'm interested.
Guess what?
Look.
Next week, y'all, this probably gonna be the topic. Hey, we doing emotional terrorism.
Right, because
Okay.
I was going to share with you the next topic we're going to get into is social media and the expectation. So you definitely
Ooh,
want to tune in for that.
we
We
doing
might
that?
even tie that emotional terrorism. I'm gonna find a way,
We
but
doing it? Social media?
social
Oh,
media and the
y'all
expectation
not
is the
ready for
next
this.
topic.
Y'all in trouble.
So we thank you all. Please continue to tag and share. We are going to give you all your evening back. We love you all. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, it's Let's Unwind with the Evans 1232.
Yep, yep.
That's Let's Unwind with the Evans 1232. It's
Hmm.
scrolling on the bottom of the screen there. So again, we definitely want to do that as well because at some point we will be just going live instead of Facebook Live. We will be using our YouTube
So
channel.
you want to catch us there?
Definitely. So we're not going to cut you guys off, from Facebook or anything like that. There's just other aspects. We're doing our Apple Podcasts, uploading our content onto there. So you'll be able to hear our topics as you're working. You could be working out, you could be at work. So you're able to hear them on the go. And then, of course, Instagram Live, we're going to get into that as well. But we pray that this has been a blessing to you all. And again, have that conversation. If
Yes.
you don't take away anything else, have that conversation and figure
Period.
out what their needs are
Hmm.
because that will let you know and you can determine if you're doing too much or not enough. Okay.
Period. Hey,
So we love you guys.
y'all have a great night. We'll see you
Talk
next
to you
week.
later.
God bless you.